Should I blame P. Diddy for a lot of things, and this is one of them.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, even more. But I'm not going to get any money out of it. Damn. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. My name is John. His name is Andy.
As always.
Don't call it a comeback. Been here for years. I'm rocking my peers, putting suckers in fear, making the tears rain down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go boom. More on that later, perhaps. But first, we have a track to listen to. And not the Pitman version. Mam said knock you out. Mam said give him a clout. Andy, what have you got for us?
Oh, well, I have a band that is new to the channel, but not new to me. It is a band called Jimmie's Chicken Shack. Have you ever heard of Jimmie's Chicken Shack?
I've heard the name, but I haven't heard them. But I've definitely heard the name.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to listen to a track by them called Lazy Boy Dash. In parentheses, it's like, son, you better get up. But Lazy Boy Dash is what it is known as. So I'd be interested to hear what you have to say about it. So why don't you Lazy Boy Dash off, give it a listen, and come back and let us all know what you've made of it.
Okie dokie.
I'm a lazy boy, there's no doubt about it. Might take a miracle to get me started. I'm a lazy boy, there's no doubt about it. Might take a miracle to get me started. To get me started.
Bit jazz.
To get me started again. To get me started. To get me started, son. You better get up. You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. I make a dash in the Lazy Boy 100. I start slow, but I lean back and pull you under it. They say the competition lags behind precision wasting. Don't need a review, I know it's my smoke that they are tasting. Damn, another tragic jam. I know I'm supposed to use my brakes, I'm on the gas, I slam. Damn, another tragic jam. I know I'm supposed to use my brakes, I'm on the gas, I slam. You better get up. You better get up while you can.
Okay, so this is interesting. Terrible cover aside, I would put this at, can't really see, but I would say this is that half of the 90s, post-grunge, that sort of mixture of alt rock, whatever you want to call it, with a bit of sort of funk and ska and metal and faux hip-hop in there, everything. Yeah, it's got a bit of Chili Peppers. It's got something else as well. I really like the start. Stupid sample aside, with that sort of jazzy jazz guitar sort of echoing the vocal melody, and then the percussion, the drumming sound really nice and loose and smooth. Yeah. And then we go into this sort of rollicking group sort of vocals, and it had really nice guitar strumming to it as well. And then we go into this sort of, I mean, yeah, you would only get it in the 90s, this fairly average sort of kind of rap stuff. It's not great. It's fun though, it is fun. With the group, damn, these crashes, and then back into the chorus, which is a lot more effective, really catchy, infectious, rollicking. Yeah. Makes you like it almost straight away. This is good stuff.
Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. And put a crash in the Lazy Boy 100. Don't need no luck, we aim to suck just for the fun of it. They say you can't be canceled, don't you bother wasting your precious energy is victory for the team. there's no doubt about it. Might take a miracle to get me started. I'm a lazy boy, there's no doubt about it. Might take a miracle to get me started. I'm a miracle, there's no doubt about it. Might take a lazy girl to get me started. I'm a miracle, there's no doubt about it. Might take a lazy girl to get me started. To get me started again. To get me started. To get me started again. To get me started, son. You better get up. You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up.
That's percussion.
You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun actually, and I really liked the drums. Especially that breakdown towards the end. Really splashy, and then there's almost like Latino beats to it. It's really nice. And I liked the extra vocal guy who was just vocalizing and singing away like he was in the shower. I really enjoyed him actually. Yeah, I've heard so many of these sort of faux rapping verses and songs in the 90s and in the noughties actually, and they're all pretty much shocking. Um, and I just see it as a pathway. This is whole blending, isn't there? Trying to get extra listeners by whacking in a bit of hip hop, and it just doesn't work. I blame P Diddy for lots of things, but yeah. But yeah, this was fun. I did enjoy the majority of it. It wasn't that terrible, that first bit, but yeah, really nice sort of group and an infectious feel to it. Yeah, it sounded very yeah, latter half of the 90s, very American, really youthful as well. Um, I think a whole album of this would do my head in, but a few tracks would be decent. Um, yeah, we'll have to find out a bit more about them. Let's go back and let's talk to Andy.
All right, you've made it back. So what did you make of Jimmie's Chicken Shack and this track, Lazy Boy Dash?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was trying to remember where I heard them from because I do know the name. But after hearing this, I put this firmly, could be wrong. I placed this firmly in like latter half of the 1990s. That sort of post-grunge funk ska leanings towards hip hop and also Latino and all sorts of, there's a bit of like Chili Peppers influence in there, but there's also something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting. And I think it's sort of like late 90s when I heard the name, but can't be sure. I think it's quite a way back. But yeah, so we get a few seconds of some sort of sample or whatever. I have no reference. I'm sure it makes sense at some point to someone, but you know. And then that was like the joy of early 90s, getting the samples is trying to get the references, you know,
Yeah.
like De La Soul or, you know, Beastie Boys in particular.
Mhm.
But anyway, the song starts off proper, and we had a really nice touch of this kind of like swing in the intro, a sort of jazzy guitar,
Yeah.
mimicking the vocal melody, or is it the vocals mimicking the guitar? I think it's really the vocal melody, and it's doing it, and you get this kind of laid back cheroot chewing percussion, which sort of then and it's just got lovely. It has got this nice swing to it, really nicely done, and then it sort of clicks into this full-bodied bodega rocking party chorus with nice strumming guitars. And I picked up some lyrics. There were some of them were repeated quite often. I'm a lazy boy, there's no doubt about it. Might take a miracle to get me started, blah 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 blah. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. I mean, how many times do you have to tell him? But anyway, so I'm wondering, as I'm a lazy boy, I assume wrongly probably he's perhaps going on about those very famous recliner chairs, and it's kind of a metaphor for comfy life or procrastination or whatever.
Hmm.
Anyway, we switch into the verse, which has that kind of faux hip hop beats alongside this sort of like cod rapping. Um, I wasn't a great fan of the delivery of this. It was quite sort of, but I guess that's the charm of it as well. On
Yeah.
first, hearing it's like, yeah. But then I think, if you're in the band, if you're into it, there's a bit of that charm to it. But there's a lot of that shit going on in the late 90s as well.
There
All
was.
sorts of people putting in just bits of rapping for the sake of it. I think I said in the reaction, I blame P. Diddy for a lot of things, and this is one of them.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, even more. But I'm not going to get any money out of it. Damn. But yeah, but alongside that, there's a really nice acoustic guitar underneath it all going along, which is just really making this very pleasant verse. Um, you get the sort of group hollers as well, that damn, and there's
Mm.
crashes and sort of bits that sort of punctuate it and give a bit of dynamics to it. And it ushers in the chorus again. And then we go back into the second verse, and again, it's kind of more the same. To be honest with you, at this point, there's sort of these sort of cod rapping vocals sort of drifting over me. To be honest with you, the lyrics. But at the end, we get the chorus again, which is really catchy, and it's kind of like a feel-good chorus because it's got that sort of party, group experience sort of vibe to it. And at the end of this chorus, then we get some little more sort of jazzy noodling, which is really nice,
Yeah.
kind of shadowing the intro. Um, and then we bung in some heavier electric guitars. Um, and then these dynamics change again. So then you get, the vocals in isolation with just the percussion, and then switch it back out. And it's doing always Son You Better Get Up a number of times, any number of times. There's lovely splashy work from the drummer at this point. And then the beat becomes almost Latino. Really, really nice. I did like the drumming on this track a lot. And then there's an extra vocal track as well, comes in around this point. And he sounds like he's in the shower, really going for it, which is great. It's quite infectious as well. But it's really, completely different to all the others guys in there. And it just adds to the fun of it, actually.
Yeah.
And they keep sort of repeating, and it almost comes as quite a surprise when it just starts to fade, to be honest with you. A long lingering death as it fades to grey. So yeah, this is there's plenty of repetition in this, but the dynamics keep you interesting, and it's a real toe tapper. I'd say this is a fun, it's catchy. I'd say that, in the words of Mr. Bowie, very young American.
Mhm.
Um, at this time that I'm guessing the second half of the 90s, there was this splintering of styles and genres, particularly in American music. And so you get this stuff. You would not get something like the Chili Peppers before then, in the 80s. No way. And they made their own niche, definitely. And there's plenty of other bands who try to do it and were pretty unsuccessful, actually.
Mhm.
And then you get into things, your skater punk and your new metal and all sorts of nonsense. And we've spoken in different episodes of where the sort of interests of UK and USA music diverged quite a bit. And
Yes.
same with black music as well, actually, they did the same thing. Although there's a lot more catching up to be done on this side of the pond in terms of that sort of soul and R&B, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would hazard a guess because I remember this being spoken about, but nothing more than that. I would hazard a guess that this is a bit of a cult band in America, and no, not much anywhere else. I
Yeah.
don't think I ever heard of them, actually being played in this country, or just I'd love to remember where I heard it. So I would think it is really useful and it's great, but I think nowadays as opposed to in the 90s, I think a whole album of this would do my fucking head in. But I'd be really happy to ride out the wave of a track or two of this. I think this is really fun, really catchy, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. That's where I'm at with all of this now. But
Yeah,
but there's an added layer of like it tickles a nostalgia bone in me
exactly. Yeah.
because like you said, young American, like that's exactly what I was when this came out. Um,
Yeah.
so and it's also touching on subject matters that you're 15 to 18 years old, this comes out and it's talking about, don't be a lazy boy, get yourself up, go do something, make up your mind about what you want to do. And it's about that time you need to start doing that. And your elders, older brothers, fathers, uncles, parents are all trying to convince you of just that, to come on, make up your mind. What are you going to do? Quit partying, quit having fun. You're not bulletproof. You're not stuck in a time loop. You will age, kind of make up your mind. So that's why it resonates with me. And where we talked about this before, you're absolutely right. Like this is a time where like everybody is throwing anything and everything at the wall to see what sticks. So inevitably, a lot of that shit is going to fall off the wall to the ground and not resonate or not have any real shelf life. But this has enough of the things that I like to give it legs. So like you mentioned, there's jazz in here. You could easily extrapolate from it shades of reggae and ska music as well. All of those genres are not only like sort of cousins and akin to one another, you could sort of almost figure out where they link and splinter. They're all things that I really, really like. You add to that it's just rock and roll. I also really like that. There are shades. It's not as over the head wannabe rap as something awful like a Limp Bizkit or something like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? Like it has shades of that without trying to like replicate or appropriate the sound, which is also a very thin, fine line that folks at that time didn't even know existed when they were perpetrating it. So it's to use retrospect and look back at what a balancing act that was. I think this song and this band kind of pulled it off without it being too catchy or too kitschy or like over the top. So it sort of fit in a very niche pocket for me that not a lot of the stuff at the time was, even though they were all attempting to do this kind of thing. So that's another reason it really resonated with me as well. And given that you and I have both talked about liking jazz, reggae, and ska to varying degrees, I thought, well, maybe this won't completely alienate John for something that came out between 1995 and 2001. So let's bring it to the table. But yeah, I'm glad that you liked it and found more of the redeeming stuff in it while, allowing me some of my late 90s nostalgia to shine without rubbing you too much the wrong way. But yes, Jimmie's Chicken Shack. They are an American alternative rock band from Annapolis, Maryland, formed in 1993. Their name pays homage to Malcolm X because his favorite restaurant bore the same title, Jimmie's Chicken Shack. So, founding member and lead singer Jimmie Haha recruited drummer Jim Chaney from another band, 10 Times Big, longtime friend Che Lemon on bass, and guitarist Dave Dowling, aka Double D, to form Jimmie's Chicken Shack. Fast forward 32 years, and the band's current lineup consists of Jimmie Haha, Jerome Maffio on drums, Christian Valiente on bass, Island Styles on guitar, that's a hell of a name, and Matt Jones also on guitar. And they blend rock, funk, metal, ska, and reggae to create what they call mutt rock. Which is great because a lot of the music that came out after that, I think we've talked about off camera, is called butt rock, where radio stations were giving you nothing but rock. So yeah, they sort of played with that, and it's mutt rock, and it's apropos given how much they're pulling from different things to create this monster. The band also released albums on labels including Coke, Def Jam, Foul, and Rocket Records. It was in 1996 when they signed to Elton John's Rocket Records and released two major label albums, Pushing the Salmonella Envelope and Bring Your Own Stereo, on which this track features. Both LPs enjoyed minor chart and radio and MTV success and produced their best-known hits, High and Do Right. After years of squabbling with their labels and finally being set free from their contracts, the band released 3 more albums independently. It's RE period present, represent, Fail on Cue, and 2 Seconds. Their first recording, Chicken Scratch, was recorded by Mark Straza at Hound Sound in Baltimore in 1993 for a mere $600 after the band was together for only 6 months, and it was released on cassette. Their second effort, Spitburger Lottery, was recorded by Mike Forgione at the Mansion in Annapolis in 1994 for only $400. And it was also released on cassette. So then in 1995, they decided to combine both those efforts into one recording on CD, this newfangled mechanism that you can record and listen to music on. The band, what they did was they placed both the aforementioned recordings onto the one CD, but actually flip-flopped them so that Spitburger Lottery preceded the tracks from Chicken Scratch, and then they released that. And Jimmie Haha, the lead vocalist, created the album art on a photocopy machine at Office Depot for that album. Talk about DIY. They followed that up by recording Giving Something Back, which was a live record recorded at multiple venues in and around Baltimore, including Hammerjacks, RIP, Graffiti's, RIP, and the 8x10, which I believe still exists. Their sound man at the time, Jamie Reffin, would also later go on to work with acts like 311, Jane's Addiction, and ZZ Top, along with many others. The record was released at a sold-out show at Hammerjacks in Baltimore. It was released on Foul Records, a label co-founded by band member Jimmie Haha. Pushing the Salmonella Envelope was the band's major label debut and was released in 1997 on Rocket Records and yielded 4 singles: High, Dropping Anchor, Blood, and Another Day. High would go on to chart at number 10 in Billboard. Bring Your Own Stereo, a loose concept album about frontman Jimmie Haha's ex-girlfriend, was released by Island Def Jam in 1999. The time between the two major releases was a troubled time for the band. They had been going through troubles internally. There were several changes to the members and trouble with a major label as they were shunted from Rocket Island to Rocket A&M, then back to Rocket Island. Then after the sale of Polygram to Universal Music Group, they moved on to Island Def Jam. And Do Right, Trash, and Lazy Boy Dash were singles released from Bring Your Own Stereo. A promo single of Lazy Boy Dash was released, and it was featured in the 2000 movie The In Crowd. The first single, Do Right, peaked at number 12 on the Billboard Modern Rock chart, while the album peaked at the dizzying heights, as you would say, of number 153 on the Billboard 200. So yeah, they were much closer to a regional band that almost had national success than a national success itself. You know what I mean? If you're from the Mid-Atlantic, you know Jimmie's Chicken Shack for sure. So yeah.
I'm sorry, Andy, and that was back in the days when you had like regional success as well.
Yes.
So I don't think you tend to have now, scene wise.
No, and that almost is
a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame. And I think it's a byproduct of the internet, because with the internet then becomes this expectation that you're either nothing or something. There exists this no in-between area. Well, I guess it does, but now it becomes more of a it's spread out more, and it doesn't feel like you've built a home or an area. You have to go do these shows at different cities where you is it worth it for us to do that? Do we have enough fans in, you can't do the show in Dayton, Ohio. You have to do the show in Cleveland and hope that people from Dayton go to Cleveland. You have to do bigger shows in cities where people will draw to it. So I have that a lot with some of the bands I see. Like I have to go to Philly to see them, or DC, because they won't come to a Baltimore. So you have to go to the next largest city within an hour of you to see some of these smaller bands, oftentimes. It's not to say they don't always come to you, but it's easier to catch them at a major city somewhat close to you than to expect them to come to your back door.
Yeah, I guess gone are the days when even a sort of minor, I'm thinking in this country, a minor indie band would do a 48 date tour. Um, and they're all like 500, 800 seater places,
Yeah.
tops, you know.
Yep.
But it's really expensive now. It used to be, I mean, pre-COVID, that's how bands made their money, was by touring live. And
Yeah.
they don't even get that now because it's just so
Exactly.
expensive to put on. So that, again, that's a shame as well.
Yep, it is what it is. These are the times. So yeah, the Indianapolis Star called the album an eclectic mix of slacker rock, ska, tame punk, and acoustic pop with faux hip hop grooves. The Charleston Daily Mail, yeah, they had to throw that faux hip hop, which isn't, yeah, I wouldn't argue that. The Charleston Daily Mail wrote, owing as much to the '80s new wave pop as to band's usual blitz of guitar-heavy slacker ska, the Maryland Quartet has turned down to the crunch and aimed for loftier goals, songs based on melody rather than guitar riffs. So, let's jump into these lyrics. I'm a lazy boy, there's no doubt about it. Might take a miracle to get me started. I'm a lazy boy, there's no doubt about it. Might take a miracle to get me started. Don't get me started. Don't get me started again. To get me started, to get me started. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. I make a dash in the lazy boy 100. I start out slow, but I lean back and pull you under it. They say the competition lags behind precision wasting. Don't need a rear view. I know it's my smoke that they'll be tasting. Damn, another traffic jam. I know I'm supposed to use my brakes, so on the gas I slam. Damn, another traffic jam. I know I'm supposed to use my brakes, so on the gas I slam. You better get up. You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. Employed to crash in the Lazy Boy 100. Don't need no luck, we aim to suck just for the fun of it. They say you can't be kind, so don't you bother wasting. Your precious energy is victories for their tasting. So I say, damn, another crackpot scam. I thought that things were going great now that I'm on the lam. Damn, another bunt grand scam. I think it's time to celebrate now that we ruled the land. You better get up. You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. I'm a lazy boy, there's no doubt about it. Might take a miracle to get me started. I'm a lazy boy, there's no doubt about it. Might take a miracle to get me started. I'm a miracle, there's no doubt about it. Might take a lazy girl to get me started. I'm a miracle, there's no doubt about it. Might take a lazy girl to get me started. To get me started again. To get me started. To get me started again. To get me started. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. Son, you better get up. You better get up while you can. And then that repeats itself, as you stated, several times until it fades out to the end. So there you go. Just a taste of my teenage years, my high school years.
Yeah, I could see this being nostalgic easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for entertaining me. It's not one of those ones where I'm like, God, they moved heaven and earth to create this new thing. It's just this. It's always going to stick with me because it's one of those ones. You know what I mean? And we all
Yeah,
have. I don't know if this is fair, but it's almost like and I don't want to offend. It's your Adam and the Ants, right? It's like it's this thing that when you listen to it, it grabbed you at the time, and it will forever have some amount of grip
yeah.
on you, usually via nostalgia. So that's why I chose this one. You can get a laugh at that and at me. So there you have it. Thank you so much for indulging me, John. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Guys out there in the listening audience, let me know what you think of this local band from my backyard, Jimmie's Chicken Shack. Still blows my mind that they're still out here doing stuff from time to time. Again, much more regionally now than, in the late 90s when they actually had a minor taste at success. But yeah, drop your thoughts down below. Like, share, and subscribe if you'd be so inclined. We really do appreciate it. And hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.